I know there'll be lower numbers, but with the rain and the trains, and some people are lacking in commitment, I thank you all, each and every one of you, for coming out today. It means a lot. It means a lot to the people who can't get here through ill health. It means a lot to the people who can't get here because they haven't got the courage. And what we have to do is support everybody, every single person. And you want to start clapping yourselves now, because I seriously believe that we are winning this now. We are definitely winning. You will see the tide turning now over the coming weeks and months. The Tories have finished. Thank God. Andy Street, if you're listening from your penthouse, you're done and dusted as well, pal. But everybody who comes to these rallies in the rain, the sun, the wind, the sleet, the snow, and we've been there, haven't we, Jazz? We've been in London where I've literally, I'm not kidding you, I was in Marylebone Station, stripped off to my boxers, trying to dry my clothes under the hand dryer. So I gotta get the train back to Birmingham, and I'm not joking you, it wasn't a pretty sight. But each and every one of you, thank you for keep on fighting. And you saw what's happened on the internet now, how it's exploded, with the news that went on last week, and again last night, and there'll be more to come. We have other tricks up our sleeves. And have you noticed absence of police today?
Yes.
No police today. And I've heard that one of the top dogs in Birmingham has resigned. I don't know if anybody's got any information on that. But apparently one of them has gone, which is great news, really. But looking ahead, we've got to stand firm, strong, be united. It's unity and love that's going to finish this lot. Yeah. Unity and love, totally. Love for your fellow brother, love for your fellow sister. When we're united, they can't shift us. They can't move us. They tried it in London. We was on the front line, me and Jazz. We didn't budge an inch, and they knew they couldn't move us. There's too many of us there. And that's what's going to happen soon in this country. People who you would not expect. People who've told you you're a nutcase. They're going to be walking beside you, supporting you, because you're going to prove them all wrong. As time goes on, over the coming months, there will people fall by the wayside. But what you all have to remember is, mentally, this has been draining for 3.5 years. And a lot of people now, they are literally on their knees, literally, within the movement and outside the movement. They just can't cope. So we have to give our love and support to those as well. And there's a young lad here, Ian, wherever he is, I always point my mucker out. He's suffered dreadful in the last 2 years, but you're back now, Ian, ain't you, mate? You're back. Well done, Ian. Well done, son. You're an inspiration, Ian. You really are. That lad suffered dreadfully, and he's back amongst us now. He's back supporting us again. And that's all we need, people with spirit and heart. Because you've got to dig in to yourself to find the truth. You won't find it on the TV. You won't find it on the radio. You certainly won't find it in the newspapers. The truth comes from within. And then you decide what course of action you should take, who you should believe. It's only when you look inside yourself that you can see the answer to your questions that you might have. You've got to be true to yourself, first and foremost, and we've got to stay united. And we've got to stay united. There's a picture here somewhere of a young doctor who was 32, I think. Who's got the picture? The woman down there, oh yeah, I see it. Dr. Stephen Wright, 32. We've got to fight for his family. And then you've got all the youngsters, what's going on in the schools. We've got to fight for them and stay strong for them. Because we've got to fight the teachers, the headmasters, the mayors, and the mayor of the West Midlands, Andy Street, the government. The government, we've got to bring them down. And if we have to march on Downing Street, that's what we're going to have to do. And if you're fighting to walk there, get behind us. We'll show you the way. We'll lead you there. And if it comes to it, we'll do it. And you see these over here, community police officers, oh my God. They should be on the stage sweeping it. And all the police are a disgrace. They're not working for you, they're corporations. They have let us all down. The last guy who was the Chief Constable here, Sir David Thompson, he let his police officers down.
How you doing, guys? You okay? Shit weather, isn't it? Jesus. Right, now I've written it down and I've put my bins on because I ain't getting any younger, so you'll have to bear with me, alright? Now, my name is Matt Hoy. Jazz just said that. I'm a former vocalist with UB40 featuring Ali Campbell and Astro. Not to be confused with the other UB40 that doesn't feature Ali Campbell and Astro. I have to say that for legal reasons, you understand, because I don't want to get sued. Just so that you're aware. Back in 2021, I was fired from the band for refusing to take an experimental gene therapy drug, jab, whatever you wish to call it. This resulted in my career being destroyed. My sole purpose since then has been to make people aware of the catastrophic events these actions by employers has had on employees and their families' lives and their mental health. My heart especially goes out to all the care workers and NHS staff who stood by their morals and their oath and refused to take the jab, and in addition refused to administer it as well. I salute you guys. The tragedy caused by these mandates have been nothing short of horrific. Homelessness, suicide, mental health issues, divorce, the list is endless. The list goes on, but that's exactly what they want. Suffering and division. The WEF, the WHO, the UN are all pulling the strings for this corrupt, tyrannical government. All we need to do, or we have to do, is stay strong. Stand together and simply say no. I do not consent, I do not comply. I do not consent to vaccines. I do not consent to 15-minute cities. I do not consent to a centralised banking system. I do not consent to ULEZ. I do not comply to a tyrannical government or a police force that serves a corrupt government, as you are complicit. Birmingham, please remember this. What we do right here and right now, people will remember forever. Big love, Birmingham. Stay strong and never forget what these people have done to us. Big love, man. Thanks, Joe.
Big round of applause from Matt Hoy. Thank you, Matt. Absolutely fantastic. Right, guys, you know what? We've got to hold these councillors and these MPs accountable because they're all paid up property to us. We've got to hold them accountable. You know, we've got to, I'll tell you what, if the worst comes to worst, we will drag them out of these council buildings legally and lawfully. Legally and lawfully. Yeah? So we're just going to continue doing what we're doing. Round of applause for Gareth White, guys. As you well know, guys, his dad has been shouting from the rooftop for the last 30, 35 years. His dad actually started me on my journey all them many, many years ago. His father was called a nutter. You know, he's been called all sorts, and I'm sure Gareth has been called the same. And everything that his dad says has come to fruition. And Gareth is obviously, you know, here tonight. He's going to say a few words. So a big, massive round of applause for Gareth White, people.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. As a member of the transgender Freemason community, I'd like to thank you all for hearing me speak. This heat wave's amazing, isn't it? In 2020, I think it was around the corner from here, I gave a speech. It's the first time I'd ever done it on anything like this. And it was out of necessity, because I'll be honest with you, no disrespect, but I don't want to be here. I would rather be with my family, do you know what I mean, with my kids, not stood out in the rain. But, as Jazz said, evil doesn't sleep, so neither should we. Another thing I've been thinking recently, I went on a podcast in America, and we were chatting away about the amount of stuff that had been thrown at us for the last sort of 2 or 3 years. Because they've literally thrown the kitchen sink at us, you know, whether it be through mandates, and pressure and coercion and banning people from travelling or going out, leaving their houses, and also how much fear they put into the general population. So the population turned on us as well. And a few coppers beat the living hell out of some people as well, just to, you know, put that out there. But we were talking, and this guy was saying, he says, but at the same time, we on this side, for want of a better term, because I don't like the division, but we don't know how to take a win. We don't know how to celebrate a win, and I'm massively guilty of that. You know, something good will happen, we'll get a result, and I'm like, yeah, but what about this? When actually, the fact that we took all of that abuse, and we're still stood here standing, we should be really proud of ourselves, and that goes for everyone else that's not here, people that may be watching on YouTube or whatever. You should be. You took a battering, and you stood there and you stood firm, man. That takes guts. That takes guts. But at the same time, it's all now about unity. So I saw a meme a couple of days ago, and it basically said you weren't forced to take a jab. You were forced to stand up for yourself, and you didn't bother, right? And I can relate to that on a certain level. You know, if you knew it was nonsense, but you took a jab to go with your mate Gary Lager over to Benidorm, that applies to you. But there's a lot of people that took this jab because they didn't know any better. They are actually coming from a place of love and empathy. They thought they were trying to save Granny. And I've spoken to a lot of those people on the daily, to be fair, people that are vaccine bereaved or people that are injured. They know now, but they didn't know then. And so when you talk to some people and they say, oh, how couldn't they see it, how couldn't they see it? It's, well, we're not all on the same rung of the ladder in terms of what we can see. You know, you might be right up the top there and you've got this whole view. And these people might only be 2 or 3 rungs down from you, but they've got a totally different view. And so, let's help those people. Let's not look down and point fingers, you should have known better, this is your fault, we're here because of you and all that sort of stuff. That's the kind of division that these cult-owned assets, they play on that stuff. So let's not do that. Because what they used fear. Now, we'll talk a little bit about the Rona, climate change, 15-minute cities, it's all exactly the same thing because it's all the same agenda coming from the same place. But to give you an example of fear, what they did was one, they wanted us terrified so that we would give up more, because people that are frightened, they just go along, they want saving. That's fine. But also, what fear does is it stops people thinking rationally. And so if you were thinking rationally, you would look at the Rona stuff, and you would look at the PCR test, and you would look at this jab that had been knocked up apparently in 25 minutes, and you would think critically. But if you're in a state of fear, you're just kind of a little bit kind of like that. Same goes for climate change now, when, do you know what I mean? It's the hottest day in the world, isn't it? Thinking critically, you go, what a load of nonsense. But when you're in a state of fear, you don't. So to give you an example, I was explaining to a guy that I used to play football with. He's not really into this stuff very much. But we went for a beer when the pubs reopened in 2020. You know, when we all went and gave fake names and numbers and said our PR thing wasn't working. Those glory days. So we were having a beer, and I was talking to him about the fact that they were using fear and propaganda to basically stop people thinking and get people to just accept stuff. And he's like, yeah, all right, whatever, anyway, yeah. Have you seen Derby County have signed so you know, didn't want to know about it. So I left it, we had a beer, waited what I thought was a comfortable amount of time. And then I got my phone out, right? So I got my phone out, I've got it there, and I looked at it for a couple of seconds, I went, oh, geez, give us your phone. Mate, give us your phone. Right, so he just hands me his phone, right? And I've got, how'd you get into that? So he's pressed the button. And I looked at it, and I went, why have you done that? And he, no, what? Completely confused. I was like, you've just handed me your phone there and unlocked it. That's got your whole life in it. That's got your bank details in it. That's got your work in it. That's got pictures, private messages between you and your wife. It's probably got pictures of your wife in it. It's now in my hand. Now the reason you did that was because I created a bit of confusion, a bit of chaos and a bit of fear. Total illusion. I didn't need that phone, but because I'd done it, if I said, can I get into your phone please? He'd have told me to jog on. But because I created that little bit of fear, you know, give us your phone, give us it here, give us it here. Just hands it over. And that's exactly what they've done, and they're doing it now with climate change. It's insane. You look at this climate change thing, I'll give you another example. Look at this Bridge of Nero. Have you seen that story? There's an ancient Roman bridge that's visible now. You know, it hasn't been visible since Roman times apparently, but it's a perfect example of climate change, and we're all going da because we can see this bridge now, right? So I looked into it, you can see it last year, but that's fine. There was climate change and we're all going to die last year as well, so that's fine. So I looked a little bit further back. Bear in mind, this took me 2 minutes, right? So I found a dictionary of topography of ancient Rome, right? It's published by Oxford University in 1929. And there, clear as day, it says, you can see that ancient Roman bridge when the river's at a low level. 100 years ago, right? Like I say, it took me 2 minutes. And I don't even claim to be a journalist. But these guys will just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And the whole point is, is to get us in these 15-minute cities, which is what it says on here. They create the fear, something's got to be done about it. Oh yeah, we're all going to die, climate change, 15-minute cities. And it's also sold as a convenience. You won't have to go any further than 15 minutes to have everything you need. The difference is that then switches to you can't go any further than 15 minutes to get anything you need. It's always the sales pitch. In the same way that if I said to you, I want to put a device on you that can see where you go at any point, what road you go down, how long you stay on that road, what other people you're near that have that same device, you tell me to jog on. I've just described the sat-nav, and we probably all use one to get here. Because they sell it as a good thing, and then they flip it. What we need to do is be streetwise. And I think, I know I'm preaching to the converted with all you guys, because you can see through it, and more people are seeing through it as well. And a big part of that is the attack on the kids. Now I've seen a couple of comments on these banners here that are referring to this agenda that is attacking children and sterilising children. But that will be the Achilles heel of the cult. I sincerely believe that, because while you're trying to divide everyone, you can divide people on race, you can divide people on what football team they support, what politician they vote for, you can divide them on that. But when it comes to attacking the kids, it doesn't matter how much you earn, what colour you are, what sexuality you are, it doesn't matter. If you've got kids, you've got kids. And so that is going to unify everyone. I firmly believe that. It's just absolutely revolting that it's something like that, as disgusting as that, that's going to bring people together. But I really honestly believe that it will. Now, in fear of rambling, because I don't want to ramble, I just want to say that, as other people have said as well, it's all about non-compliance, non-violence and non-compliance. It's all well and good coming to a protest, barking away. If we go back to our normal lives and carry on, then nothing changes. It's all about living just a bit of paper, don't mean anything. So we go away from here and we keep standing up, we keep saying no. It's the most important word in the English language. And we'll win this. I've absolutely no doubt that we'll win this. And we've lost people along the way. Just a couple of weeks ago we lost Dr. Rashid Patel. He's one of many that we've lost along the way. And now I'm thinking about it, now I'm in Birmingham. This is the first time I've ever spoken in Birmingham where I haven't been chatting crap with Jeff Wyatt at the side of the stage. Do you know what I mean? We've lost some really important people, which is another reason why we have to stand up and fight, because we need to win it for them as well. And I firmly believe we're going to do that. So, thank you very much.
Yeah, have you all, hands up those who haven't heard of the We Do Not Consent campaign? Everybody's heard of it, yeah? This is such a simple thing, and I know there's been some to-in and fro-in about the wording used on the logo. To me, that's all irrelevant. It's a statement that we can all make, and it's a statement to our government and other people in the coming weeks and months. But why not all get on board? We should all be changing, to my mind, we should all be changing our logos now on social media to the We Do Not Consent logo. And just get as many people on board as we can. To me, this is what it's all about. It's about engaging big numbers of people. So that's all I want to say today, guys. But thank you so much for being here, and I love you all.
Mr. Mike Simpson. Now, I know a lot of you have come especially for this. Dr. Tess Lorry.
Thank you very much. Gosh, global warming? Don't think that's come to Birmingham. I think it does seem like many people here know me, but I will just give you a little bit about my background in case you are new to hearing from me. I'm a medical doctor and a researcher scientist. I have a medical degree and a PhD. And I've worked since 2012 as an external consultant to the World Health Organization, and having had an honorary contract with the NHS at the Royal United Hospital in Bath. So my experience is in evidence synthesis, which is evaluating bodies of evidence and helping to develop clinical practice guidelines. In 2020, it was clear that there was no evidence to support the strategies and policies that our government was implementing and that the World Health Organization were recommending, and so I got very concerned, and as we went into 2021 I got together with other scientists and doctors and lawyers from around the world, and we established the World Council for Health as an initiative, a grassroots initiative to support the public and help them make sense of what's going on for their health and empower them to step away from fear around and to question things and not take the experimental vaccines, because we saw that the pharmacovigilance databases were really, the safety signals were really screaming and were demanding that our authorities hold the vaccination program. So I just want to reel forward to where we are now, and the current status is that it's clear that it was a man-made crisis. There was always safe, effective remedies and older medicines and supplements that could have helped people recover from had they known about them. But this information was withheld, and in actual fact, the strategies were counter-productive, were counter-health, keeping people locked indoors and so on, so people didn't get the vitamin D they needed from the sunshine or the activity, the healthy outdoors and nature. So these were counterproductive to health, and so this was one of the things that was done. The other thing was that dangerous interventions were rolled out, so not just the lockdowns, which were dangerous for health and businesses and mental health and so on, but also these dangerous vaccines, which is a technology that's never been used before. And the more that us independent scientists looked into it, the very platform, that mRNA platform, that genetic platform, was never safe enough for use in humans as a vaccine. Never. There was never the evidence to show it could be used. There's more than 5 million adverse event reports related to the vaccines on the WHO's own database, and they're absolutely quiet about it. So will it make any difference when it's 6 million next, halfway through the year? Will it make any difference when it's 7 million? I don't. So how did this happen? Well, it goes on to where we are now, to reveal that in actual fact our policies, our government policies, have been dictated to by the World Health Organization, in actual fact, beyond that, by these international corporate profit-driven think tanks, such as the World Economic Forum, and nation-states that have enormous influence over the WHO, and individuals, billionaire individuals. So our governments are not in control of health policy. And finally, the state of where we're at is that our elected representatives are not listening to us. So this is the state of affairs. And, it obviously begs the question then, why did everybody have to take a vaccine that was not safe, that there was no safety data? And the answer to that is that it was never about a deadly pandemic. It was about control, reset. Now, I probably don't need to tell anybody here this information, because I gather if you're out here in the pouring rain with your umbrellas listening to me, it's probably, you know it, and you are the warriors, the real warriors. But just to say that, this is something clearly now, this pandemic was something that's been scheduled and planned for. We have Klaus Schwab saying that the pandemic provides an opportunity for a great reset, and we have the World Economic Forum's endorsed by King Charles, and we're assured that there are more pandemics coming and more disasters. So we're told that there are more pandemics and more disasters, and this is to keep us in a state of fear. Not that there aren't more coming, because if they say they are coming, well, I think we better prepare. But it is to keep us in a state of fear and to make us feel overwhelmed and fearful. So how are they going to manifest this great reset? How are they going to keep these? How are they going to keep controlling us? Well, this is being put in place through negotiations around the International Health Regulations of 2005 and the WHO Pandemic Treaty, also known as the Accord Instrument or CA2+. Now, the amendments to the International Health Regulations are clear. There are clear changes to these regulations that impact our sovereignty, our right to dissent and gather like this, our right to free speech, our right to privacy, because surveillance is inherent in the document, our right to good health, because these documents actually support gain-of-function research, and gain-of-function research is arguably what got us into the trouble with it in the first place, because it seems like it was the result of gain-of-function research. Gain-of-function research is research done on pathogens, on bugs, to develop them as weapons. And to have a World Health Organization endorsing gain-of-function research is very, very worrying. So, we at World Council for Health are really encouraging people to learn about these amendments, and I've brought some very easy to read, very accessible documents. So firstly, I just want to show you this, and thank you so much for your patience in standing in the rain like this. This is the WHO's document. It's called the Compilation of Amendments to the International Health Regulations. There are 307 changes in this document, and if I just show you what it looks like, I'll just open a random page. You can see it's just all crossed out and in bold. Everything has changed. They've basically overwritten the entire document, and this document it's already a legally binding document. It was written in 2005. Now these new amendments will go through with a simple majority vote with whoever's representing us in the World Health Assembly meeting in 2024. It has a massive impact on our sovereignty, because it says that the WHO's Director General can announce a potential or actual public health emergency of international concern, so not just a pandemic, it could be a climate emergency or anything else, and our governments are obligated to implement the measures. So if they say only 3 people can gather at a time from next week, and that's a standing measure going forward, then our governments are legally bound to adhere to that. And if they say that there's a new pandemic and everyone needs to stay home, well, our governments undertake to adhere to that if they do not reject these amendments. What people don't know is that last year in May 2022, there were amendments passed already, and these amendments can be rejected by November this year, but nobody knows about them. And this is what our petition is about, to Parliament, to hold a debate and reject these amendments. And I urge you, we only need 2,500 more signatures. We've got 97,000 or so to get over the 100,000 mark to get that debate happening to reject the amendments that were passed. Those amendments that were passed last year were to reduce the time to implementation. and reduce the time for countries to reject amendments. So they're trying to tighten the noose so that there's less time for people to be aware of changes and less time to reject them. So I urge you please to become aware of that, and we have leaflets. Our MPs have received they've received our policy brief, which is the expert assessment of the international health regulations and WHO treaty, and they've received a cover letter highlighting the issues, and they have been put on notice that they must contact their constituencies and discuss these changes with them. So just so that you know, our MPs are aware of the policy brief and the issues, and please do follow up, and we have material that can help and that can be shared. So please do come and get these leaflets or download them from our website, worldcouncilforhealth.org, policy brief. So I think once you see the big picture, what these documents do, what this framework that's being set up, is to basically set up a one world government. Now, all of this can seem very overwhelming, but what I wanted to say is, once one realizes we've been deceived, so we've been deceived about the safety of the vaccines, and we've been deceived about much more than that. We've been deceived, our health has been under attack for quite some time. We've been deceived about the role of sugar in health. We've been deceived about the safety of mobile phones and other things. So it's time for us to question everything. What can we do now? Well, we can take responsibility for our health. We can stop doing what we're told. We can start questioning everything, and we can just say no. Called the Great Reset. So we've got the globalists with their Great Reset, and however that nasty man says it. But we have the Great Reset because what we have now is the opportunity to set ourselves free. We realize nothing could be more chaotic than what we've been going through the last few years, and in actual fact, when you look at how we're controlled, that is chaos. So we have the opportunity to really set ourselves free. And this week, or in actual fact, we've put up a provisional website, thegreatreset.org, and in a couple of weeks we'll launch this campaign in a big way internationally. So do look forward to that. Thanks for listening.
Above 50 metres with a stick or with some crutch. What it's done to me is it's given me damage in my peripheral neuropathy, which basically means that all the nerves on the outside that make things happen, that send messages, are damaged. So the messages become wrong, and they also
said that he had the first vaccine and had
become painful,
and then the second, because
they're telling the body the wrong reference, the wrong messages. It's also given me autonomic neuropathy, which is the inside. It's the things that you don't think about making action with, like your heart, your lungs, like your liver and kidney. All of those things that just happen don't happen with me anymore. They just have a mind of their own. So at one point I can struggle with breathing, at another point my heart can race. Just intermittent, no reasoning behind it. This last 10 days, what I've been doing is marathons. I've been competing with myself in a race to do a marathon every day for 10 days to raise funds for people like myself, for Thank you. Thank you. We've also done it for the armed forces, so the Benevolent Fund will get some, and also the Royal British Legion. And what I ended up doing was getting lost and doing an extra half a marathon to get back on track. So I decided to complete that one, and I actually did 11 marathons in 10 days. So I did better than I thought I would. Thanks for having me, much appreciated.